Hello and welcome to the channel. On today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you a requested video of how to sew a 3-part corset with a deep basque waistline. So if it's your first time viewing my channel, please hit on the subscribe button, and if you're a returning subscriber, thanks for supporting my channel. So let's dive right into today's video. So now here is my pattern and I've gone ahead to cut it out. So on my cup C I added 1/2 inch round, cup D I added 1/2 inch round, and I ironed gum stay on the lining piece and wadding on my fabric. So this is the upper part of the cup. I went ahead to join it together this way and pinned it down, and I added 1/2 inch round to it also. So now on the body of the corset also, I just went ahead to add 1/2 inch on this part. So on this pattern I placed it on fold, and on the lining I ironed gum stay on it. So I had to do this because of light issue. So right now we are going to start working on the body of the corset first. So now I'm going to be unpinning my pattern, and this is the center pattern, and I cut it on fold and I added 1/2 inch on top and below. So this is what I have right now, and I'm going to unpin this part. So I added 1/2 inch round it also. So I'm just going to go ahead and place it this way, and I'm going to stitch with 1/2 inch. So and on the other part also I'm going to go ahead to stitch with 1/2 inch. So whatever I do on this main fabric, I'm also going to repeat the same thing to the lining. I'm going to go ahead to place the lining this way, and I'm going to join with 1/2 inch. So now to work on my cup, this is the front part, and I'm going to be unpinning my pattern. So I'll go ahead to place. So this part of this cup is going to the middle, and I'm just going to go ahead to unpin my D cup, and I'm going to place it also. So sorry, this video is a bit fast, so I'm having issues editing it. So after placing it, I'm just going to go ahead and place it on each other, stitch with 1/2, place on this part and stitch with 1/2 inch also. So I'm done stitching, and this is what I have. And after stitching, please go ahead to notch it so that it's going to sit very well. So now I'm going to place it on the upper part of this cup. So you notice this part that I joined, I'm just going to go ahead to iron it flat. So you can also notch it. So what I'll do is to start pinning my cup. So if you notice at one end of the upper part, there's a part that is going down. That is where I'll start pinning it from, and I'm going to go ahead and also pin on this. So it is easier to sew when you pin it down. So I'll just stitch with 1/2 inch, and on the other side also. So I'm just going to place my cup. So if you notice, there's a part at the upper part of the cup that is a bit low. That is where you will start pinning your cup to the joining. So I'll just go ahead also and pin this part, and after I'm done pinning it also, I'm going to go ahead to stitch with 1/2 inch. So now this is my cup, and I've also gone ahead to iron it out. So if you're using an already made cup, after joining your fabric now, you're going to join your already made cup on it. So I have videos where I used the already made cup. You can just go ahead to watch that. So now I'm going to be pinning this to the body of my corset. So the best way to pin your cup to your corset without notching is to first pin down the middle and just go ahead to pin down the end. And after pinning it, you're also going to pin the other side of the cup, and whatever you have, you're just going to push your cup to the body of the corset. So if you don't do it this way, another way is just notching around the body of your corset to make sure it accommodates your cup. So I'm just going to push in my corset, the cup part of the corset, to the body of the corset, and I'm going to go ahead to pin. So after pinning down, this is what I have on this part. So if you're wondering why I'm using a wadding, most times I prefer using a wadding because I don't have much bust and I don't really like adding extra to my bust. So I'm done sewing, and the next thing I'm going to do is to use my tailor's ham to iron this out. So right, if you don't have a tailor's ham, I have a video on how to make a tailor's ham. So I went ahead to heat my iron because I don't have any direct source of power at where I'm actually doing my video. So on this part, I'm going to go ahead to start pinning my corset, and what I'm going to do right now is take the middle part where I joined, and I'm going to go ahead to place it to the joining of the body of the corset, that center piece that you joined. I'm going to pin it. So after pinning it, sorry, just like I said, you're going to take the ending part of the body and pin on the ending part of the cup. Then whatever you have left, you're going to go ahead to pin. So this is another method of joining your cup to the body of the corset, or you can just go ahead to notch round the body, the space meant for the cup, if you don't just want to pin it this way. So I'll just go ahead and pin the end, and whatever I have left, I'm just going to fit it into the body of the corset this way. So after I'm done pinning it, I'm going to go over to the sewing machine also, and I'm going to stitch it with 1/2 inch round. So while sewing, whatever you do to your main fabric, you're going to do to your lining piece. So this is my lining piece. So now I'm going to be turning it with my main fabric. So all I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and pin it down, and I'm going to pin starting from the center, then and I'll pin to the side of the cup. Please make sure when you're pinning, you pin exactly. Make sure the sides meet. So if you have any excess on your lining, please cut it out. It is not really important. So you don't want your fabric, your corset, to actually have excess lining. So I'm just going to go ahead and pin the neckline. So after pinning it, I'm going to stretch the side and make sure it meets. So you're going to actually pin it also. So after I'm done pinning, you can go ahead and sew it this way, and I'll stitch with 1/2 inch round to this side and down to the other side. So I'll just leave the lower side open. So after I'm done sewing, this is what I have, and I went ahead to notch the upper part, and I'm going to turn it out. So after turning it out, I'm going to go ahead to iron it. So after I'm done ironing it, this is what my corset looks like, and it is looking very beautiful and neat. So now the next step we're going to do is actually sew boning on it, our boning channels on it. So I'm just going to go ahead to create my boning channels on it. Create any design of your choice. So I went ahead to create a boning channel at the center, and by the side I created 2 boning channel on each side, and I'm just going to go ahead to cut out the excess lining. So I stitched it on it together, that is the lining and the main fabric together. So now I'm going to start passing my boning. So all together I have 2 boning channels on the right, 2 boning channels on the left, and 1 boning channel at the middle of the corset. So just go ahead and pass your boning channel. So if you're using a plastic boning, that is a non-sewable boning, go ahead to wrap a tape at the lower and the upper part, and when you're passing it through, make sure that it doesn't get to the end of the fabric, because we are actually going to use a fabric to turn the lower part of this corset. So I'm using a sewable boning, and I'm just going to go ahead to place and make sure it gets to the upper part, and I'll leave ½ inch below it. So after I'm done passing on my boning, now we are going to wrap the lower part of this dress. So I cut out a strip of fabric that is about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to fold it in this way, place it, and I'm going to stitch with ½ inch at the lower part down to the other side. So when I get here, I will leave about 1 inch, go ahead and cut it out, and then I'm going to turn the other parts just like the same way you sew your bias. So after that, we move to the back pattern. So I went ahead to add ½ inch at the upper part and at the lower part. So I didn't add at any other part. And next, I'll be bringing out the lining, which I have iron gum stay on it. So I'll just go ahead to place the gum stay on each side. So right, once I place it on it, I'm going to be stitching it with ½ inch. So I'm going to stitch with ½ inch at the side, at the upper part, and at the side, and I'll repeat it for the other side also. So I'll stitch by the side at the upper part and the side. I will notch, and then I'm going to go ahead to turn it to the right side. So on this pattern, I'm not attaching boning. So what I'm going to do next is also cut out strip of bias from the fabric, and I'll turn it and attach the zip at the back. So now I've gone ahead to attach zip at the back, and this is my corset. This is what the back part looks like, and this is it. And the next thing is I'm going to place the back part on the front, and I'm going to go ahead to pin down my pattern. Now I'm going to go ahead to sew my corset. Once I'm done pinning, and make sure that the waistline matches the waistline in front, and the upper part also matches the parts in front, and you're just going to go ahead to hold it down with the pin and drag it out, so that if you have any excess, it's going to go to the sides of the corset also. Now after pinning, the next step is to shape your pattern. So I'm going to take my tape. Now I'll measure my shoulder to under bust point, and I'll place my tape at my under bust, and I'll mark. So after marking that, I'm going to place my tape and find my bust line. So after I'm done marking my bust line, the next measurement is to place back my tape at my under bust and mark my waistline. Now it's time to insert the body circumference. So I'm going to place my tape this way, make sure that I stretch out my pattern, and I'm going to measure. So whatever I have there, which is 18.5, and my bust circumference is 33 divided by 2, which gives me 16.5. I'll minus 16.5 from 18.5. I have 2 inches left, so I'm going to mark 1 inch on this side and place back my tape, and I will measure that 16.5 inches mark, and then I'll go ahead and mark it. So with that, I have 1 inch on this side and 1 inch on the other side. Going down to my under bust, after measuring, I have about 17 inches, and my under bust circumference is 28 divided by 2. I have 14. So taking 14 out of 17, I have 3 inches left. I'm just going to go ahead and fold and mark 1.5. Go ahead, measure my 14 inches and mark at the other end. So on the waistline, I still have the same 17 inches, and my waist circumference is 28 divided by 2. I have 14. Taking out 14 from 17, I have 3 inches, and I'm going to mark 1.5 here and 1.5 on the other side. Then I will take it down. So I'll go over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch with I'm going to stitch on the line that I have marked out. So now for my sleeve, I have a total of 15 by 30 inches. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to place it this way and fold at the lower part and I'm going to go ahead to fold on the lower parts also. So after I'm done sewing, I'm going to show you what I have now on my corset. This is what I have, and this is what it is looking like. If you can see, it is very neat. So if you have any question concerning this tutorial, please leave your question at the comment section. And if you haven't yet subscribed, please hit on the subscribe button. So after I'm done stitching at the upper and lower part, this is what I have. I'll pass my elastic, stitch with 1/2 inch just this way. So I'm just going to pin and show you, and after I'll just go ahead to attach it to the sleeve of the dress. So right, this is the sleeve of the dress, and I've gone ahead to attach elastic to it. So now I'm going to go ahead to place it, and I'm going to sew on the sewing machine. So I'm just going to sew beneath that elastic thread. Please don't sew on top of the elastic thread. So I'm just going to sew with 1/2 inch on this side, and whatever I do on this side, I'll repeat to the other side. So with this is my final look, and we have come to the end of today's tutorial. Please don't forget to hit on the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and join us in our next tutorial. Thanks.